Morning guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to look at responsiveness, and briefly we are going to talk about the responsiveness in HTML and CSS using our site we created earlier. Okay, using our site we created earlier, which is this one. Okay, now note that, let's imagine that this thing is on a smaller screen. You're seeing the way it appears. This is how it appears. The image is not in the right format. The button is down here. We want to make it more responsive. Okay, and when it can tilt at all screens, regardless a desktop screen, regardless a bigger screen. But we can get responsiveness in very many ways. Let's fast forward this slide. The meaning of responsiveness is when a site can be said it's responsive when it can appear on a mobile app, a tablet, laptop, and other bigger screens. Okay, and we are having the units in responsiveness, which can use 100%, EM, REM, VW, VH. Okay, then we can. So in most cases, when you use these units, sometimes you don't need to use the @media function in CSS. Okay, yeah, for example, look at this code: container width 80%. So it will take 80% of the screen. Okay, we call this class container, and if you're giving it 80%, regardless the screen it is on, it will take 80% of the screen. So at times you don't need to use the @media. Though, as we continue, I'm going to explain the media queries. Yeah, this is regarded as the heart of responsiveness, and it always query when the screen is below the required pixels. The site changes accordingly. So without wasting time, let me jump into the codes. We see how we can use the @media queries. Our site is showing that it's already responsiveness because in our CSS we were using the percentages and the REM respectively. So today we are going to talk about the responsiveness using the @media queries. Okay, using the @media queries. So the keyword here is @media. Okay, and then inside here we put max width. Max width shows the width we want our responsiveness to start from. For example, I will say 760 pixels. I will say 760 pixels. This will show the query where we want our, it's the @media. Then after it, we open. It is the @media. Then we say we can put the @media query max width 768 pixels. Let me use 768 pixels because this is the standard screen for all the laptops. Now, what do we mean by this code? We are calling that at all media screens, when the maximum width is below 768 pixels, provide the given size accordingly. Okay, we shall come back in our HTML. We see remember we had a class main, so we shall come here. Now the syntax is like this: after defining the max width, you come in the next line, you define the class you want to be responsive. Okay, then under that class you define the properties the same way I've been providing them in our former CSS. Now, remember our main class is the one having the image and also this part of the words. So it's the one we are going to create that in case the size is below given the 760 pixels we have said, provide accordingly the given properties as we are going to define them. Okay, now we shall first come and we put, let's say we shall set the flex direction. We put it to column. This code means that even if we make the screen small, the flex direction will remain in column format. Now you're seeing this image goes down. Okay, now if you remove this code here and you save, when you reduce, you are seeing what happens. Okay, but if you put back the flex direction column and you save, the image will respond accordingly to the size. So it will go down but still in column format. That's what it means. If you put it at row, it will remain in row format. Okay, then that's one of the parts of responsiveness we are trying to get. We can also say, and also the padding, let's remain at 10 pixels. Okay, that when the screen reduces the required part, the padding will increase at 10 pixels accordingly. Okay, now let's continue. Remember, our text changes. Let also the text remain in center in case the screen also changes and doesn't reach our expectations as planned and as coded in our former CSS. We want also the text alignment of that very page to remain in center. You're seeing now it is aligned very well in center. Now we can work also in all other classes, okay, as provided. Let's say, for example, come to our HTML, we look at which part we want to work on. Now if you look at our header here, you're seeing the logo comes here and also the link scatters. So we want to work on that so that they also remain in the same direction. Okay, shall go back to our codes, come to our CSS, then we call the part we want to design responsiveness, which is the .logo. It's a class that we made earlier. We shall say reduce the font size. Let's put it at 24 pixels. Okay, we save. We see, you see it reduces now. When it's in a bigger screen, it becomes big. When it's on a smaller screen, it reduces accordingly. Then we shall come. Now if you look at our navigation, the links are scattering down here. They reduce, okay, the anchor tags accordingly. You're seeing. Now let's imagine, let's also work on them so that they be responding accordingly. So we shall come to our VS and we call nav anchor tags. We can give a margin. We can give a margin auto. We see whether it's working for us. Margin auto, you're seeing the margin reduced accordingly depending on the size of the screen. Okay, we shall also want our display to also remain to flex. Now, flex in this format, in the smaller screens, it will be bringing the links down. Okay, but also we are seeing the size was also still big. Let's put the font size also to around 10 pixels. Okay, and let's also first leave the margin to also around 10. We see what really happens. You're seeing it reduces accordingly, which I think looks better compared to the other part. So briefly, that's how responsiveness is achieved. You first make the media query, then you resize the images as per the screen you want. Okay, we can add the image. Remember the image, we had the class that was calling the image, which was .img mg, and we give it the height, and we say let the height be auto. Okay, and also we can say width, let it cover 90% of the screen it's having. Okay, and also we can say that it have the margin of 20 pixels, which is auto. Okay, then let's look at our, you're seeing now the way it appears. It fits the screen very well, and also the margining is appearing from the read button. Okay, let's also work on this paragraph and the h1. We just come in our at media query. Okay, we call the element we want to style. Now in this case we want the p. We say we shall put the padding to only 8 pixels accordingly. Also the font size, let it reduce to we can put it at 10 pixels. We see, but it's coming so small. Okay, let's put it at least 20, at least at 20 pixels. We see 20 is too big. We can use 15. We are just trying to achieve how our work can look on a small device or a small screen. That's what we mean by responsiveness. Okay, then this who I am is also remaining big, so let's change it to be somehow small. We shall call our h1. We say font size, we can put it at 20 pixels. We see 20 pixels so small, we can leave it at 25, which I think is better. Now the image is remaining, the button is remaining big. We also need to work on the button. We shall just call our button dot, we named it at button. We shall say let the height, let's put it to auto. We see, is it reducing accordingly? Also put its width auto. Okay, now we are achieving the work so that it can be matching on both bigger screens and smaller screens accordingly. We want to achieve our work, how our work will look on smaller screens. That's the science behind responsiveness. Note that when we are talking about responsiveness, we always have the at media keyword, and we define the maximum width of our screen for the previous work. Then if the width is below this is only when they apply these codes that are under the at media. It's always having the closing bracelet and the opening bracelet and the closing bracelet. Then other elements are inside those. Thank you for watching. I think we've covered the responsiveness. Watch out for the next video.